Hello, hello. Say goodbye to the mustache. The mustache. It's Zoo Detective here, and in this video I'm going to be telling you about an esoteric hobby of mine that I had when I was a bit younger. This was about 10 years ago, called GUNPLA, or Gundam Plastic Model Kits. So these model kits that you could buy from Japan. There was this online store called, I think, HobbyLink, and they sold this stuff all across the globe. You could buy these model kits, and they were huge robots. There was an anime called Gundam, and I dig the anime somewhat, but it's not the best anime ever. But I liked building those model kits. When I got few of them, I was instantly hooked to it. I was just so into it at some point. I kept building these model kits, and it kind of put my mind in a very meditative and focused state, kind of a very calm state, and I liked that experience of building GUNPLA. But at some point I let go of my otaku. I just had to grow out of it. I just felt that this is kind of holding me back. I can't be this dude anymore building this kind of stuff, and I have to move on with my life. And it was hard to do that. And I sold some of these model kits that I built, and some of them I gave away and some of them I threw in the trash. So I don't have any more. But if I ever get to Japan, it's one of my dreams that I'm going to get to Japan. I'm going to show you this stuff in my videos, because in Japan that stuff, it's there by the galore. And they probably built them much better there than I could ever do it. So here's some terminology for you people that might be building this GUNPLA stuff right at the moment. It probably hasn't gone anywhere. It has been around from the 80s, and they got very sophisticated plants that they manufacture this stuff in Japan. I think it's actually manufactured in Japan, this GUNPLA stuff. And these model kits, they had these, joints that are very, articulating fingers and that kind of stuff. There was something called the real grade that was very sophisticated. A lot of parts, small model kits like 144 type of size. And so much detail in that. There was something called the water slide decals that you could apply on that. And there was panel lining, and there was top coating. Panel lining was when you had two parts and you had a line between those. And you, with a marker or with some ink, I used this ink by Tamiya, I believe, that smelled like the shit. And building model kits, I did it even previously than I got into GUNPLA. Was a kind of a shitty hobby, because when you do it, you tend to work with glues and all kinds of thinners, and just like headaches. You get headaches from most of this stuff, and it's probably not that healthy for you, especially when you do the top coating. So if you're right now into GUNPLA, forget about doing panel lining with ink or this sort of stuff. Just use the GUNPLA marker or whatever that is, and forget about doing top coats. I should have never probably done that top coating stuff, because those chemicals are very harmful. They are cancer causing, those chemicals that are in the spray cans that you do the top coat on. For example, Tamiya sold those. So I top coated all of my GUNPLA, and it leaves this kind of a fucking funky smell and on the model kit. So I wouldn't do it. So what I dig about GUNPLA is that it was model kits done without the pain and the hassle of playing around with those paints that were a pain in the fucking head. Especially back in them days, I was also building model kits of tanks and this sort of stuff. And there was some model kits that you had to glue and you had to paint. And back then there were lacquer paints. You know, these were like poison. Pretty much. And you know, you get the baddest headaches from them. Then there was Warhammer. I also built Warhammers and painted Warhammers, those small figurines. And it was probably one of the first YouTube channels that I watched, like back in them days, called Mini War Gaming. It was probably one of the first YouTube channels that I really watched, and there was some nerd there, you know, building this stuff, and he also was working for a company that was selling Warhammers back then. It wasn't Games Workshop, it was some third-party stuff. But he talked about the paints, and with Games Workshop, they did paints that were water tinnable, so they were safe paints. And I liked that about Warhammers. It was a really kind of, I was looked down a lot in school because I was into this type of stuff. And in the vocational school, there was one fucker who kind of laughed at my hobby of, like, I was looking at model kits on the computer, came to like laugh about it. I'm kind of pissed off that they didn't understand this. If I was at Japan, it would have been kind of pretty normal there. Of course, it's still a kind of a nerd otaku thing there, but it's still kind of shitty, you know, that I had to live in this culture where I wanted to do stuff that is really not pretty much part of this fucking culture. So I hope that I will land myself in Japan at some point, and I will be able to show you this stuff there, and I will be able to get to that place where the RX-78-2, the big Gundam, the real size Gundam statue is. I hope that I will see that in my life before I die. I really hope I will be able to show you this stuff in real life. Thanks for watching, and if you are into this stuff, don't throw your GUNPLA away. Just don't do it. I made a kind of a mistake there, but maybe I had to do that mistake. Thanks for watching this video.